I mean, okay, yeah, they offered him a deal, but the deals they offered him is pretty much the rest of his life in jail. I mean, with those deals, he's got nothing to lose with going to trial with those type of damn deals. Okay, but here's what I think's gonna happen. I think Diddy will be free before he, ends up dead. Well, no, wait, actually, let me rephrase that. Either A, he's gonna end up like Epstein, or B, if he doesn't end up like Epstein did, I think that first off, the trials I severely doubt will happen on the day they have it set for trial. They're probably going to pick their jurors on that first day it's set for trial, and I don't even think they're going to get all their jurors picked. And I also think they're trying, Diddy's lawyers, from if what I've been seeing is right, in my opinion, I'm not a lawyer, but in my opinion, based off of things that I've seen happen with other people, I do kind of think they will P. Diddy, what do you call it? I think, obviously, this first trial date for him, it's not going to go to trial on that date. I don't think they're going to get done picking their jurors on that trial date. So it's going to get continued. He's not going to have trial, more than likely, on his trial date. I could almost guarantee you he will not be having trial on the date he has trial. I mean, he's going to think he has trial, but they're not even going to be able to pick the jurors on that day and finish doing it, in my personal opinion. And I also think Diddy's lawyers, if this is true, what I've seen, and not just some person, oh, look at those drift sparks in the intersection, nice. But I also think that P. Diddy's lawyers won't, what do you call it? I think they're setting him up for a mistrial too. I don't know if this is true or not. I mean, but supposedly one of the lawyers or something is like leaking stuff of him and P. Diddy talking. And I think that, I don't know for sure, might be able to give P. Diddy a mistrial if he does get found guilty. But I truly kind of think he will be able to, his lawyers will be able to pick enough people out of that jury selection to be able to say, okay, to be able to say, you know what, they're going to go in that courtroom, and no matter what the hell kind of evidence there is, no matter what there is, I do strongly believe, and I might be wrong, but I kind of do believe, because of who P. Diddy is and how popular he is, and everybody pretty much knows who P. Diddy is. I don't think there's too many people in America that don't know who P. Diddy is from his music. I mean, I don't know about his freak-offs. I mean, that one time I was at one of those freak-offs, and I don't know, man, he was getting freaky in that girl in that room, so I don't know, I mean, but no, I'm just playing, but, no, for real, though, I don't think P. Diddy's going to spend the rest of his life in jail. Even if he does get found guilty, I think they're going to do a mistrial, and they'll bring it back up in court. So, he's got that. I think he's going to get a mistrial, even if he does get found guilty, and then there'll be another trial, and maybe on the second trial, he'll end up not losing. But, overall, I do think P. Diddy will, in his lifetime, be freed from jail. Might be 5 years, might be 4 years. Now, once they do get their jurors picked and they actually are ready for trial, I do think they're going to offer him, like, do a year jail time and we'll give you probation or something of that nature. I do kind of think that he's going to get something like, on the day of his trial, they're going to say, look, all right, we're going to not give you one of them insane deals that we gave you before. We're going to give you a deal. I mean, I might be wrong on this. This one I'm not so sure of. This one I don't think, I think it's less likely to happen. But if they do give him probation, I think there's a chance that will happen possibly on trial day, And he would be fucking stupid as hell if they do say, like, you got to do a year jail time or 2, even 4 to 5 years jail time, and then 4 or 5 years probation or some crazy shit like that. He would be stupid not to take that deal if he was presented that deal. But nobody's going to know if he's going to get presented that deal until the date of his trial. That's when those type of deals come, is on the day of a trial. You know, where they go, okay, well, you gotta maybe do, 5 years, and then we'll give you probation or parole or whatever, and followed by 2 years parole or some shit like that. You gotta register a sex offender or some shit, probably. So I think they'll offer him a deal like that on the day of the trial. But I think he would be, if they did offer him something like that, he would be a moron not to take that deal. But if they don't give him that deal, and whatever deal they say on the day of the trial, if it's something like 20 years without the chance of parole or some shit, I was going to say, if it's like 20 years without the chance of parole, I mean, unless it's something reasonable, I don't think he's going to, he would be stupid to take it. I mean, if it's something that's going to be where, I mean, I don't know if P. Diddy really did all those things that they're saying he did. I'm sure he did some of it. I mean, I don't know. I do think also there's been a lot of fake shit, like on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I think there's a lot of fake shit that's got put out there at this point too, where people are just trying to get views off of it or some shit, and say some crazy shit that they just made up in that they made up in their head that probably that isn't even a real scenario or some shit. Or I mean, it's a real, it could possibly be a real scenario, and the person wherever they got that information from might act like it's real shit, but really it just never happened. They made it up in their head. But I'm not saying that, again. Oh, hey, look, they finally fixed this freaking pothole right here. All freaking time. See? Someone must have finally did a class action lawsuit for that stupid shit. So I think on the day of the trial, they're going to give him a better deal, and he would be stupid not to take it. Hold on 1 second. Let me break my train of thought for a second. Hang on. Here, looking beautiful downtown. Give me a second. Hang on. There we go. Give me 1 second. We'll get back to P. Diddy in a second. I gotta get some tamales. Seriously, is that the best you can do? What kind of shit is that? How am I gonna get tamales like that? I'm trying to see my quickest way to getting tamales. Give me a second. I guess that's what it is then. Batman told me tamales. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Hold on. Okay, so back to what I was saying now. Alright, so P did. Oh, wow. Hey, there's a hill to drive up. Oh, no, I can get back there. Okay, well anyways, back to P. Diddy. So I think that they're gonna do that, and I kind of do think too there's a good chance he might get found not guilty in trial, because the reason I think he might not get found guilty in trial is because well, for one, he's P. Diddy, and I don't think there's a single person in the U.S. who doesn't know who P. Diddy is. But I kind of think that they'll be able to select some jurors that no matter what the evidence is, they're going to go in that courtroom with, I'm doing not guilty no matter what the fuck the evidence is. I mean, Oh wow, I haven't seen a cab for a while. It's the first cab I've seen in quite some time. I think the last time I saw a cab was like a month ago. Or a labeled cab, like that yellow cab. But back to P. Diddy. I do kind of think that they'll be able to pick enough jurors that will be able to go in that courtroom and just say, you know what, I don't care what the hell the evidence is. I'm going to play along, but no matter what, I'm doing not guilty, just simply because he's P. Diddy and I like his music. I don't, but I'm saying they could pick a juror that they might say on the application just to be a juror on it. Yeah, no, I don't like it. P. Diddy, no, I don't listen to his music. P. Diddy, no, I don't really. I've never seen any of his movies. And I'm sure they could find a couple of jurors that'll lie like that. Sorry. So back to, damn it, that broke my train of thought. So back to what I was saying about P. Diddy. So I kind of really think they will be able to find some jurors. But like I said, if they offer him a sweet deal where they say like, oh, you're going to give you like a couple of years and then parole, or you're going to get like 5 years probation or something with time served, he would be a stupid, retarded moron not to take that type of deal if they do offer him something like that. I think there's a chance they can offer him, it's a 50-50 chance I think they'll offer him on the day of the trial some type of sweet deal like the deal I just said. We'll go this way for tamales. Okay, so, come on, man, we'll do fucking bitch. You don't know where the fuck you're going. I'm gonna do some stupid ass shit. Never trust GPS all the way. Like, have you ever followed GPS and it takes you like, where all you had to do is just make a right or left turn, but it'll have you go like in a whole mile circle? Like sometimes you can't just trust the GPS. You gotta look at it yourself and make your own route. The GPS doesn't always know best. Sometimes all you gotta do is just make a U-turn, but it's telling you to go like a whole damn near 10 minutes out the way and go in a circle or some stupid shit. But back to P. Diddy now. So I kind of think they'll find some jurors, but if they don't find any jurors, if for some reason they can't pick enough jurors that are just gonna say, you know what, I really don't care what they say, he's not guilty no matter what, because he's P. Diddy in my mind. I'm not saying my mind, but I'm saying like if I was one of those jurors, I'm sure they'll be able to find someone like that in the juror selection. But his trial, I can almost guarantee you, he might get a sweet deal on his trial date before they start picking the jurors. But even after they pick all the jurors and it gets continued after the first,
turn right.
After it gets continued after the first trial date because they're not done picking the jurors, they're gonna, man, fuck that. Oh, man, these freaking potholes, man, what the fuck? It's breaking my train of thought. These potholes are so brutal. Man, there's some big potholes, man. I hit like two. I'll show them later today. Like big, like your whole damn wheel falls into it, pothole size. I'm surprised I didn't pop my tire. The thing was so freaking big. Fucking rice burner sounds like shit. It sounds like a fucking little RC car. Fucking one of those little gas-powered RC cars. Why can't they fix those freaking potholes, man? Brutal.
Turn right.
Hey, did you, so back to P. Diddy now, okay? So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, they don't pick any jurors that have a mindset of, no matter what, he's not guilty. I don't care what the evidence is, I'm gonna vote not guilty no matter what. So let's just say they don't pick any jurors like that. I need a sip of milk. Okay, so let's just say they don't pick any jurors. They're just gonna say no matter what, P. Diddy's not guilty, okay? What the fuck are you doing, bro? We got a green light. Fucking retard. Like, he did that on a straight up red. Should have drove into him. It would have been his fault. He went on a red light. I'm not trying to deal with all that. And plus, that's why it's stupid. But anyways, I was just joking about that, by the way. But back to what I was saying about P. Diddy now. Oh, by the way, did you know Al Capone was in here? Yeah, Al Capone was in the old section. It's still there, but it's abandoned. It's on the north end where Al Capone was, I think. I'm pretty sure Al Capone was on the north end. North? Yeah, somewhere along that north wall. Where it's got the big cement wall. I'll drive around this one day and we'll make a video on that. We'll go in a circle around the Cook County Jail. Yeah, Al Capone was in here. I wonder when they built that court building there. The other one, the first one on the left looks newer, but the one on the right you could tell is much older. Oh, he got his Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, come on, bro. You're carrying a Dunkin' Donuts drink. Why are you so... You're stereotyping now, man. Come on. Gonna go do Starbucks? Something else? Something that's not Dunkin' Donuts? Okay, but back to what I was saying about P. Diddy. So, let's just say he doesn't pick up whatchamacallit. Okay? So, if he doesn't get any jurors, they're gonna just say, you know what, I'm just doing not guilty just because not me personally, but the juror has in his mind, I like his music, so he's not guilty no matter what. No matter how overwhelming the evidence is, he's just not guilty. So, I think he's got a good chance with that. And that's why he's doing a jury trial over a bench trial. Because if he did a bench trial, oh man, he'd be done for. He'd have zero chance doing a bench trial. Unless he's paying off the judge or some shit. Even if he did pay off the judge, I still don't think it would work. The judge would probably, even if they did that shit secret as hell, man, they'd be like, man, how'd you find this man not guilty? It's overwhelming evidence. I don't know what the evidence is. I mean, you know, you got AI too doing a lot of shit now too. So something you might see on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook. Well, not on my YouTube, but on other YouTube channels or videos. Not on mine. I don't do that on my channel. I don't make up imaginary shit unless it's it's like an acting scene, like the Trump Ranger I did in the building with the dragon dagger. That was a good idea. But anyways, back to P. Diddy. So I'm pretty sure that even if he does get found guilty, they're gonna say, oh, we had a mistrial. So he's got a good chance of that. And I think honestly, if Trump ain't running for president in 2028, if that loophole, because supposedly with Trump, if you don't serve 2 terms back to back, I think there's like some type of technicality where you can run for president one more time if you didn't serve the terms back to back. So if Trump ain't running again, I think there's a chance he could possibly, maybe at the end of his term, he might pardon P. Diddy. I don't know for sure or not if he will, but I think they're gonna have to. I mean, that's if he gets found guilty, even. Because, I mean, you gotta think about it. There's a lot of jurors that's just gonna go in there and just be like, you know, number one, I would, if I was a juror for that, I would just make up some shit. I'd be like, yeah, man, I don't really know who P. Diddy is. I've never even really heard of him. What does he do? Like, what are these questions about? Music? I don't know anything about him playing music. I don't know. Why is he famous? Is he like famous or something? So I'd be stupid as hell just to try to be one of them jurors. Oh man, that's gonna be some juicy shit. Fucking being in that trial. A lot of baby oil is gonna be in that trial. A lot of baby oil. But yeah, P. Diddy's probably got like so much commissary of baby oil. I bet. Probably got them guards sneaking them in some baby oil. He's probably like, man, I'll have my son give you some money, man. Just sneak me in a little bit baby oil. I need that good baby oil. I need that Johnson and Johnson baby oil. I gotta get that Johnson and Johnson. I only use premium baby oil. They got McAfee fucking. They got Rockham baby oil, and I don't use this cheap shit. I don't even know if they got or Vaseline. I don't know if they got baby oil. I don't know. But if they do, I'm sure he's buying plenty of baby oil. And I bet you he's stretching his Sully's fucking butt out. This little fucking annoying dog. I hate those little annoying dogs. They're so fucking annoying. They go, arf, 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 arf. Man, shut the fuck up, you little thing. Fucking, my shoe's bigger than you, man. Get the fuck away from me, you little fucking rat. Fucking rat would eat that dog. Back to P. Diddy. So, I mean, I just don't foresee P. Diddy spending the rest of his life in jail, in my personal opinion. I mean, I just don't foresee it. I don't see P. Diddy's gonna never get out, even if he does get found guilty. But he might. I mean, I could be wrong. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see for the trial. But let's see if anything started with P. Diddy's trial. I'm getting tired of talking. I'm running out of ideas to talk about with P. Diddy, so hang on. But yeah, he's definitely. I would almost say for sure that P. Diddy is whatchamacallit. That P. Diddy is hold on. I could almost say for sure, not 100, I'm like 80% for sure P. Diddy will not spend the rest of his life in jail. And even if he does lose in trial and get sentenced, I think he'll be able to do a mistrial just simply because of how famous he is and how much fake information on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and just in general, how much fake information has already been put out there about P. Diddy. Like all that fake information that's been put out there about P. Diddy at this point, like they're gonna say some shit like, well, the jurors didn't have some, and like they would say like some shit like there was outside influence on fake information on the jurors, and fake information on the jurors, and so they'll probably use some shit like that to cause a mistrial, even if he does get found guilty. I do think if he gets found guilty, though, he will get a mistrial, but I think they're going to give him, like, some crazy life sentence type shit. Or, like they'll sentence him to, like, 80 years or some shit. Without parole. But I think okay. Let me go to, I think I'm being a little extreme with saying they're giving him a probation deal. That I think is highly unlikely. Unless it's like some 10-year probation type shit. Like, I'll be on probation for 10 years. I don't think they're gonna just give him a probation deal. I think more than likely they're gonna give him probably a prison deal, and he's gonna probably have to do they're probably gonna be like, you gotta do 5 years at 50%, and you gotta do like 5 years parole after that or some crazy shit. I don't know what the state. I think he's in New York in jail. Yeah, he's in New York. Man, I guarantee P. Diddy got a cell phone in there too. I could almost guarantee someone smuggled in P. Diddy a cell phone. I guarantee you he ain't sitting in there with no cell phone. Man, think about it. P. Diddy's got so much money. Like, he's literally got so much freaking money. All he has to be like is, yo, guard, I'll give you 50,000. Sneak me in a cell phone. Like, think of how easy it is. 50,000. Sneak me in a cell phone. What the fuck is this guy doing? What the fuck? He's dancing. Oh no, why are you showing us your penis? He's about to pull down his pants. Oh, he's tucking his shirt in. He looks like a dried up pimp from the 60s, don't he? Trump's gotten that price of energy down. God damn, the price of gas in the city is at $3.50. Oh, I'm sorry, $3.99 a gallon. Man, that's cheap. Gas at like that gas station back when Biden was president, the gas was like around like $4.50 for the cheap shit there. Like $4.50, $4.60. No, it was like $4.60, I think. I haven't passed that gas station that much, but most of the gas stations around Chicago or in Chicago were in the like $4.60 roughly, in that range, $4.60 to $4.80. I remember seeing it a few. Not downtown. Downtown it was even more, but I'm talking in the like outer part outside of downtown, like $4.60 to like $4.90. I think was the highest I saw during Joe Biden's presidency in Chicago. Was $4.90. I think the highest I saw for the cheap gas. That's for the cheapest gas they had. Hang on, I'm trying to find a video about P. Diddy. Give me a second. Alright, hold on. When is P. Diddy's trial date? Man, this shit looks so slow. Here we go.
U.S. judge has ruled that the rapper and producer Sean Diddy Combs will stand trial on federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges in May. He'll be held in prison until then. Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges that he used his empire to transport women and male sex workers across state lines to take part in recorded sexual performances. If convicted, he could face a life sentence. David Willis reports.
Among those present at the Manhattan courthouse, Sean Combs' 83-year-old mother, Janice, who earlier in the week sprang publicly to his defense.
Why are you guys heckling the mother?
And other family members, including his twin daughters, Jessie and Delilah.
Hey, straight ahead, dog, straight ahead.
One of hip-hop's biggest names, the man who shaped the sound and culture of an entire generation, has spent the last 3 weeks in jail. Raids by heavily armed agents on his homes in Miami and Los Angeles in March this year led to federal charges of racketeering and sex trafficking. Combs, who is also facing a slew of civil lawsuits, has pleaded not guilty and blew kisses to family members in the courtroom before being led away. His lawyer has called the sexual activity described by prosecutors consensual, citing, amongst other things, the leak of this security video alleged to show Sean Combs assaulting his ex-girlfriend Jessie Ventura in the hallway of a Los Angeles hotel in 2016. Combs' lawyer asked the judge to impose a gag order banning prosecutors.
Hey, that was like some Hunter Biden shit, that video. Did anyone see that video of Hunter Biden fucking, where the girl went running out of the room and then he was dragging her by the ankle back in the room? It's kind of like that video. A lot of similarities with Hunter Biden.
Leaking evidence in the case to the media. Sean Combs is due to stand trial in May of next year. Prosecutors have said further charges may follow, but he already faces the possibility of spending the rest of his life in jail. David Willis, BBC News.
In a quarter mile, turn left.
How old do you look? I don't know. Let's see what this face age thing says. You're gonna be an old fart. I'm not gonna be an old fart. You're gonna be an old... Shut it! Okay, we're redoing this. I'm 4! Alright, let's try this again. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna not be 7. Like I said, I'm 4. Okay.
Day 2 of jury selection in one of the most
Oh, they're picking the
high-profile
jurors,
trials
I
in
guess.
recent memory. Sean Diddy Combs is facing federal charges
Oh, wow, they're already picking the jurors?
of racketeering and sex trafficking. And right now, his team and federal prosecutors are trying to figure out which New Yorkers will serve on a jury to determine his guilt or innocence. Who may be ultimately selected to decide one of the most impactful criminal trials in recent years? We're going to break down the big moments that happened today. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse. Hey everybody, this is another Law and Crime legal alert. So lawsuits allege that antacid use has been linked to increases in stomach cancer and gastric cancer. If you or a loved one were diagnosed with stomach cancer or gastric cancer after using an antacid, you may qualify for compensation. And one of our legal sponsors is partnering with the Driscoll firm, a national firm, helping those injured to ensure their claims are thoroughly presented. Visit antacidclaims.com/sidebar, scan the QR code on screen, and answer less than 10 questions, and check your eligibility to file a claim. Sean Diddy Combs was back in court today alongside his huge team of high-powered lawyers for day 2 of jury selection. The name of the game is to go through over 100 potential jurors in the next few days.
I was right.
Whittle that number down.
I didn't even know the trial started yet. And see, I said in the beginning of the video, it's not going to happen on the day of the trial. I guarantee you. See, they're already on day 2. I was right, of jury selection.
About 45 or so, and then the defense and prosecution will use strikes and challenges to get that number down to 12 jurors and 6 alternates.
Make sure you hit
And
thumbs up, by the way.
in case this is a
Subscribe and
shocker,
share.
this is no easy task for these potential jurors, right? Sitting on one of the most impactful, heavily covered criminal trials in years, currently scheduled for 8 weeks. So we're going to cover what has happened today in the process, who may be selected ultimately for this jury. And this comes as not only Combs has just added another lawyer to his team, while the prosecution objected to another one sitting with him. We're going to talk about that. But this also comes as Combs reportedly said yesterday, he's a little nervous. And that's understandable because why? He's facing 5 federal charges. The disgraced music
nervous.
local is
He should be
accused of running a
extremely
criminal
nervous.
enterprise that was allegedly focused on his sexual needs and desires.
He should be trembling in his fucking feet.
Sex workers, procuring drugs and baby oil, setting up hotel rooms for
Baby oil.
elaborate sex parties called freak-offs. And we expect multiple alleged victims, including Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassandra Ventura, to testify that they felt forced or coerced to participate in these sexual episodes. Racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution. These are the charges. Potentially life in prison if he's convicted. The stakes couldn't be higher. Now, Combs has been behind bars at the MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, since his arrest last fall. He was denied bail multiple times. Sidebar has been closely following this case even before his arrest. Okay, we were covering when he was first hit with the civil lawsuits, but we covered it every step of the way, right? The raids on his properties in Miami and Los Angeles, his arrest, his indictment, the multiple superseding indictments, and all of the pretrial motions along the way. And we will continue to follow this case for you every step of the way, including when opening statements begin, currently scheduled for next week. We're going to cover every second of this. Now, to talk about what happened today, day 2 of jury selection, to talk about today's proceedings, I want to bring in former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani to talk more about this. Nima, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Love having you on to talk about the Sean Combs case. So first of all, the process has been running quite smoothly and efficiently. I mean, do you think they can select a jury this week with opening statements next week? When you told me this, when they told me that jury selection was only going to take a week, I said, no way. No way. It's not going to
Probably take a long. It may take a week and a
You think
half.
it's possible, generally speaking? We'll get into more specifics about
more
what
than
happened.
likely will happen.
Jesse,
It's not
first of
possible,
all,
it's
love
probably
being
gonna
on,
happen.
and we're almost there. You know, next week, I do believe we are going to get a jury selected this week. And I think the reason we are, really there's 2 reasons. One, we're in federal court. And we know these federal judges like to move. They're really limited when it comes to what they perceive as for-cause challenges. If some of these potential jurors say, hey, I can be fair and impartial, that's good enough for most judges. And they'll say, you know what, counsel, you got to use your peremptory on that. The other reason I think we're moving quickly is because we're having judge voir dire as opposed to attorney voir dire. Attorneys can ask all sorts of questions because, look, let's be honest, Jesse, there's only one person in that courtroom that wants a fair and impartial jury, and that's Judge Subramanian. The lawyers, they're going to want jurors who are favorable for their case. I mean,
he's going to have a real hard time getting a fair trial, and I think that's, if he does get found guilty, that's another grounds they'll use to say it was a mistrial. If he does get found guilty, they're going to say he didn't have a fair trial, there was too much fake outside information or something like that.
they're advocates. That's just the reality of it. So
What?
lawyers tend to be a little bit more.
What did you say? What? They don't want fair and impartial. They want jurors on their side. Nima, what are you talking
shit.
about?
That's what you should do.
Believe it.
You should switch to 1-800-CONTACT.
You would be stupid not to do it. Like the guy saying what? That's how any trial is for the most part. A lawyer should try to get you jurors like what he just said. Ones that like.
Marshall, they want jurors on their side. Nima, what are you talking about?
Right. Why? That's what the fuck is this guy retarded? Why wouldn't you want to pick jurors that you feel are going to be on your side? Fucking retard.
Believe it or not, Jesse, advocates actually want to win. So, they'll ask questions, as you know, trying to get into their political beliefs. And really, we want to know, if you're prosecuting or defending a sexual assault case, what are your views on sexual assault? Do you believe it can be underreported? Do you believe it can be falsely reported? Is this rape? Is this regret? I mean, we know what the lawyers are getting. The judge obviously isn't going to get into all that. It's going to kind of stay within the boundaries of really what should be a for-cause challenge, and that's why I think the process is moving a lot faster than it would otherwise go.
So let's get into a little bit later on
they have any
preemptory
jurors
challenges and how
selected
that's going to work. But right now, as these jurors were brought in for initial questionnaires last week where they filled out all the paperwork, answered questions, now there's individual questioning, and they can be stricken for cause. There's a legitimate reason they can't sit on the jury, whether it's a very unique particular hardship or they're showing some sort of bias. And I have to tell you, Nima, there was a little bit of trouble today, right? You had one prospective juror today who talked about hearing about the Combs case on CNN, admitted that they leaned in a negative light towards him having committed some crimes. That juror was excluded. You had another juror who admitted on the questionnaire, again, that all these prospective jurors had to fill out, that she was a victim of an attempted rape. Reportedly said the cops could have done a lot more. But this juror wrote on the questionnaire that P. Diddy has money and he could buy his way out. And when asked by the court, well, what did you mean by that? She apparently doubled down and said, just what I wrote. She was excused for cause. Another juror who has a son that works in the DA's office of Rockland County, New York, conceded they aren't sure if they could be fair and can't promise they wouldn't be biased. Struck for cause. Another juror who admitted they would be biased for law enforcement, struck from this jury. Nima, I gotta say, this is what I anticipated would happen. Now, first of all, credit to these prospective jurors for being honest or purportedly being honest.
They're gonna have a real hard time.
I expected we would have a lot of people that would show a sense of bias in this case.
Jurors.
I think that's right, Jesse. First of all, in any case, there are a lot of people that just want to get off jury duty, right? They get that summons in the mail and they don't.
Man, I would want to have that, man. If I got that summons, fucking P. Diddy, oh, fuck yeah. Give me that. I'll be a juror.
Be there, especially for a 2-month trial. That's going to get a lot of press and not just attention here, international attention. Now, you have some stealth jurors that maybe want to get on this panel and write a book about it and go on the
or do a YouTube episode
after this is all said and done. But most Americans aren't really excited to serve as jurors, so you'll get folks that will say anything to get off the panel. Now,
I don't know who wouldn't be excited to be a juror for P. Diddy. I would be excited. Hey, oh fuck yeah, I'm all in. Let me be a juror.
Now here we're talking about a celebrity and we're talking about sexual assault, and we know that a lot of people have been victims of sexual assault or sexual abuse. So this may hit close to home, and they might not be good jurors on this type of case. And like you said, they may be honest about their experience, not because they want to get off the panel, but because this may be triggering and they may have to relive through trauma that they themselves have experienced.
They're going to have a hard time picking jurors
because of sexual assault.
I think it'll take
those
like 2
jurors
weeks.
are also getting off. But like you said, this is the type of case that is going to stir up a lot of emotions from a lot of different folks, whether it's race, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's gender and sexual violence, you name it. This case has it.
And look, these are jurors you have to expect to not only know who Sean Combs is, but they're probably been exposed in the last year and a half to material about him. So whether it's the lawsuits, the CNN video,
Instagram,
things like
fake
that,
news.
they've already formed an opinion about it. So
Right.
aside from the jurors who, by the way, who mentioned or exhibit signs of bias, you also had other jurors who have conflicts or have medical issues that struck them from the jury too. For example, you had one female juror who expressed she has these stomach issues, needs multiple bathroom breaks, struck from the jury. That's not going to work when you have prolonged testimony and maybe not multiple, or maybe not the
those
ability to have
guards
multiple
got
bathroom
booted
breaks,
there
and
to
it's
see
gonna be
them
distracted.
boots.
But we have another issue,
On the right.
another juror, actually, to be more specific, that highlights a key
Five
issue
cars
in
back.
this case.
Rewind if you
The
miss it.
footage from the LA Intercontinental Hotel of Combs purportedly beating up Cassandra Ventura back in 2016. Key piece of evidence in this case. Combs issued an apology on Instagram when a portion of that video was published by CNN last year. This was before his arrest. And again, we believe this is going to be a key piece of evidence for the prosecution to establish that Ventura, who we believe is victim one in this case, was trying to escape a freak-off, that there was a sex worker in the hotel room, i.e., this is evidence of sex trafficking. At least that's the argument to be put forward by the prosecution. Well, what happened? You got a juror today who reportedly told the court, yeah, they saw the video, and despite this juror saying they could be fair in court, saying that in the court today on the questionnaire that this juror filled out, apparently the juror wrote they were unsure if they could be fair. But the juror said they would listen to the court's instructions on this. Nonetheless, the juror was excluded. But Nima, this tape.
But then you're also going to get jurors that are going to be like, they're going to lie about on that question that they just asked. They're going to lie and say what they want to hear just to be a juror on it. And if you got somebody that really likes his music, they're just going to be like, they might not say it on the form they fill out, but once they get in that juror box and they're got to do with their vote, they already got it in their head before they even walked in. Not guilty. Doesn't matter what the evidence is, not guilty.
This tape so problematic for jury selection, right?
No question, because like you said, typically when you walk into that courtroom, you haven't seen the evidence in the case, but this is not your ordinary case. Everyone has heard about Sean Combs. Everyone has seen that video. It's disturbing. It is offensive. Like you said, he's holding his towel with one hand. He's beating her as she's trying to leave. How can you not form an opinion? So you have jurors that generally have views on these issues. Then they're bringing their preconceived beliefs about the case because they've all seen the video. And this is one of those unicorn type cases that everyone has already heard about. And there's video evidence. And I expect there to be even more video evidence in the case. So whether it's a case like this or Luigi Mangione, we've all seen the video, Brian Koberger with the bathroom selfie. The jurors that walk into that courtroom, they're going to have prejudged the evidence. So if they say that they can't be fair and impartial, either in their questionnaire or an open court, it may be hard for the lawyers to rehabilitate them, right? Because if you're a lawyer in the case and you think it's a bad juror for the other side, you're going to want to try to make them seem fair and impartial to force the other side to use one of their peremptories, not get them to cause challenges or unfair.
And we're going to talk about peremptory. I promise. Anybody who's interested in it, we're going to get to in a second. But as a former prosecutor, I wonder if the prosecution is not happy about that tape being published by CNN. Could you imagine if jurors saw it for the very first time at trial? And by the way, the defense tried in pretrial motions to get that tape or a version of that tape or any footage stricken. They didn't want the jurors to see that footage, but a version is going to be shown to them, or multiple versions in different camera angles is going to be shown.
Different camera
But as a
angles.
prosecutor, do you think that they are like, oh my gosh, I wish that tape would have been, we're having trouble finding a jury, or because you're so cynical about jury selection?
Cynical?
All right,
Find a
just
parking
gotta
spot.
carry them all,
Gotta get my tamales.
and we're done.
Or because you're so
Chicken and
cynical
pork
about jury
tamale.
selection, Nima? Do you think the prosecution's like, we're happy that tape came out, and I hope we get jurors who have formed an opinion. They're just not admitting it during jury selection.
I think it's the latter. I get it why you want jurors who haven't seen the video, but it's such a disturbing video. And just you and I have talked about it. If you guys are watching, go back and watched Jesse's videos when this came out in May of last year. It's such a powerful video. It was such a powerful video that after denying these allegations for months and months and months, from November 2023 when Cassie filed their lawsuit, Diddy's homes are raided in March. Only in May, when this video comes out, Diddy issues an apology. That's how powerful the video is. So the cynic in me, if I'm the prosecution, I like to overwhelm the defense, and I like the jurors to basically be on my side before the defense even presents their case. I want them to have made up their minds. And when you have a powerful video like this from the prosecution, I like it out there. I know
you're also going to have the jurors that says they're going to be like, I don't care what the video is, he's not guilty.
Not for someone
I
who's
like his
looking
music.
for, you know, the fair and just result. The fair and just result is everyone walks in with a blank slate, right? They view only the evidence
That ain't gonna happen
in the courtroom. But that's just not the reality in a high-profile case like this. That's why, Jesse, there's always the courtroom, but there's the court of public opinion, and the latter does matter.
You know, and you said it very well. We don't know what other videos might be shown. You take the defense's perspective. I mean, they made an argument in a pre-trial motion that the warrants
they
were
got some of
invalid in
them
this case because they
freak-off
said if the
tapes from his
judge
house
who authorized these warrants, if the magistrate court authorized this warrant, saw all the video footage, they would say, wait a minute, I don't see anything illegal here. I think this is all consensual activity, whatever these sex acts that were captured on video. So it'll be interesting to see what is shown and which side it ultimately benefits. But going back to jury selection today, so you had another juror who apparently read an article about the jury selection process going home from the courthouse yesterday. More specifically, who got excluded from jury service. They were looking to see who got excluded from jury service. Now, the judge today admonished this person, saying they weren't supposed to do that. And apparently the reporting indicates this might have been a lawyer or someone who is trained as a lawyer. If true, you definitely know you shouldn't do this. The court struck this juror, but Nima, it raises a larger question of how tough is it going to be to make sure whoever's in panel on this jury doesn't talk about the case, doesn't research the case, isn't affected by the media coverage of it, or who's outside
or been affected by they won't hear any more music from him or never get to go to a P. Diddy concert.
Technology has just changed the game, right? Back in the day, you weren't getting all your news from your cell phone, right? You have to go home, you got to turn on the TV and watch the news. But
that's what I'm saying.
seen
Facebook,
it time and time again. It's becoming an increasing problem where a juror is Googling about the case, they're on social media, and you're not supposed to bring in those outside facts and evidence into the courtroom. And like you said, a lawyer should absolutely.
And then you got the people that like his music and be like, I want to go to a P. Diddy concert. If I vote guilty, I'll never get to go to a concert of his.
Big issue right now. Now, how do you get around it? It's a question of the jury. But again, people already don't want to serve as jurors. Now you got to take their cell phones, confiscate them, separate them from their loved ones for 2 months. It's really a big imposition and a burden. So if you're the judge, you're hoping the jurors follow your instructions, whether they're on the panel or potential jurors, so you don't have this problem. But it's a continuing problem because, of course, jurors have lives outside of that courtroom.
Make sure you like, subscribe, share, hit thumbs up.
So it's been reported that 19 prospective jurors made it through day one yesterday. And today, you had other jurors who made it through. And by that, what I mean is, and to be clear, these are not necessarily jurors who are going to ultimately sit on the jury. They are making up that panel of 45 or so jurors who then both the prosecution and the defense will strike and get down to the 12 jurors and 6 alternates. And get to that a little bit more. But who made it through today? So you had one juror who made it through that was a student of psychiatry, is at Mount Sinai in surgical pathology, served as an expert witness in medical malpractice cases, indicated his son was beat up and had his cell phone stolen while in college, and was told that the crime was committed by 3 young black men. Both sides agreed, and so did the court, not to strike this juror. You have another potential juror who made it through, someone who says they may be an elected officer to a union. His wife, according to him, was molested by a family member. And while he said he saw the CNN video, the Cassie video, and claimed that Diddy looked angry and hostile and entitled, he said he could be fair. You had another juror who claimed that he would lose 30% of his income if he had to serve on an 8-week trial, but indicated he could survive it. Also told the court that his wife is suing his landlord for repairs. It's important to know of any legal issues they may have. And also claimed that he has friends who have been assaulted. That person moving forward Another potential juror is a security guard, has seen the Cassie tape, found it disturbing, but indicated could be fair. She was let in. We have a child neglect social worker coming in too. We have another juror who was let in over the prosecution's objection, by the way, who claimed that he had negative interactions with the police, including over stolen sneakers, claiming that police...
That guy's gonna definitely vote him not guilty. The guy who had negative interactions with the police and got his sneakers, got his shoes stolen, he's definitely voting not guilty. I guarantee you, no matter what the evidence is, that juror will probably vote not guilty. I wonder if the prosecutor gets to also dismiss jurors.
Conservative female jurors, people that would not put themselves in that situation. Those are the types of jurors, whether it's a Weinstein or a Cosby type case, might be skeptical of these allegations. I believe the victims, but there are some people when these types of allegations are raised years, sometimes decades later, they don't believe it, or they say, you know what?
Yeah, true, that's another thing. But I think they're going to get some jurors that are going to just go in there and just be like, I don't even care what the evidence is, he's not guilty. But if they do give him a good deal, he would be stupid not to take it. He would be stupid as hell not to take a good deal. I'm trying to park so I can get my tamales from Arturo's. I'm sure of that. Hold on, I'm loading it back up. Give me a second. Shit's slow as hell. There we go. I'm gonna speed up the talking because I want to get in and get these tamales, and this is almost over.
Big Flavor is back.
I'm not letting you say what you are. Come on, come on. Here we go.
They say, you know what? You decided to voluntarily, associate with a music mogul like Diddy. You were trying to further your career. You were getting paid. This wasn't something that was forced upon you. This wasn't someone that was coerced. This is not sex trafficking. You did the drugs voluntarily. So there's a certain type of profile that the defense lawyers are going to like. And obviously, if you're the prosecution, you don't want those types of jurors. You want people that are going to kind of go along and someone that's going to be more likely to believe the consistent testimony of what you believe with multiple victims telling the same story.
And Nima, just because somebody has experience with sexual assault or harassment or has negative interactions with law enforcement or has seen a piece of evidence in this case doesn't make them automatically disqualified from serving. And that's interesting, right? That might be surprising to people.
Not necessarily. Like you said, if they can convince the court that they can be fair and impartial and compartmentalize and set that episode, set that case apart from this case and decide the case solely based on the facts and evidence in this case, they're not going to be excused for cause. They're going to be at least on that initial panel.
Now, Nima, to be clear again, this is just the potential jury pool. Everyone I mentioned may not even end up being the actual jurors on this case. What can we expect from preemptory challenges, strikes, and also explain to our viewers what those are exactly?
So we're going through the cause challenge process. Those folks that can't be fair and impartial, or they have a hardship, a financial hardship, or a medical hardship that makes it difficult for them to serve 2 months plus deliberation.
2 months.
Often, for these longer trials, you can essentially opt out if you can convince the court that you have some reason. It could be family, it could be professional.
You can't use a cell
that
phone for 2
prevents you from
months?
serving for so long. Okay, so assuming you clear that, you can be fair and impartial. The parties in any type of civil or criminal case, they get a certain number of peremptories.
How do they know you're not going to use your friend's cell phone?
For any reason, or really no reason at all, as long as it's not a constitutionally prohibited reason, race, religion, and those sorts of things. So once the cause challenges are done and we have that 45 or so, then the parties start using their peremptories. And each case is different. Typically in a federal case, the defense will get 10, the government usually will get 6, but obviously the judge can modify that as well in each particular case.
Do you think that's going to take a full day? So, for example, let's say
I think it's going to take 2
jurors
weeks.
impaneled by Wednesday. They go to preemptories on Thursday. Should they have a jury selected by Thursday afternoon?
I do, and obviously the lawyers like to
That's not
ask
gonna
all sorts of
happen.
questions. They'll be going into these jurors' social media, trying to get as much information as they can. The judges asked some of this already. There's a whole industry of jury consultants that do this type of research. They're psychologists. They come, they observe these jurors in the courtroom, how they're dressed, how they're interacting with the court, are they looking at the defendant, and based on that, they're going to use their strikes on the jurors they think are going to be problematic. And sometimes it's a little bit of gamesmanship. Like maybe you don't like a juror, but you think the prosecution might strike them, or maybe the jurors that are coming up behind them are even worse. So there's a real strategy here when it comes to jury selection as well, especially the use of parentheses.
Now, putting aside the issue of jury selection, before I let you go, there's another issue I want to talk to you about since we last broadcast our previous sidebar. So first, as Law and Crime's Elizabeth Milner reported to us yesterday, famed celebrity criminal defense attorney Mark Garagos was in court yesterday. And what happened today? The prosecution filed a letter with the court today objecting to this, saying that it appeared the defense was consulting with Mr. Garagos and members of his law firm, but they apparently never filed a notice to appear in the case. They also argue that according to the local rules, a lawyer or firm, quote, associated with the defense can't make out-of-court statements that would interfere with the trial. And they cite how Garagos has been talking about the case as recently as a few days ago on his podcast. Let's start there, Neem. A fair argument? Should he be prevented from talking about this? Should he have to notify his appearance in court?
If he's going to do any legal work in the case, you have to file a notice of appearance. If you're not admitted before the court or the state, you have to have someone do your pro hoc vice application. Now, if he's just there as a jury consultant, they don't obviously need to notice onto the case. They don't have to be lawyers. But if you are doing legal work, you do have to be in the case. And we know the Southern District of New York has some pretty strict local rules when it comes to these out-of-court statements. We've talked about it in the Lively Baldoni case, for instance, came up in the Mayor Eric Adams case. You really got to be careful about what you say. Luigi Mangione in the federal case, you really got to be careful about what you say in the Southern District of New York, because again, those local rules there really are limiting in what you can say out of court if it has the potential of tainting that jury pool.
Yeah. And by the way, one more point about lawyers. So Nima, also, as reported by Elizabeth previously, today we got official word that Nicole Westmoreland is now representing Combs at this trial too. So he already had several attorneys, Mark Agnifilo, Teddy Garagos, Brian Steele, expanding the team. What do you make of this?
I think it's important, and we've talked about it time and time again. The person that's going to likely cross-examine these female victims is going to be a female. If you have an overbearing male, it can be problematic. You know, we've seen it with Amber Heard, for instance, right? Camille Vasquez handled that cross-examination. So again, this is conventional wisdom. I'm not saying a man can't cross-examine a woman. I'm just saying what is typically done by the defense bar. So I'm not surprised we're adding some female lawyers. And of course, we know the prosecution team is all female as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, at the time of this recording, they are finishing up day 2 of jury selection. I will be very curious to see what happens on day 3. We plan to cover it more here on Sidebar. Nima Rahmani, thank you so much for taking the time.
Like, subscribe, share, thumbs up. Comment. Do you think P. Diddy will ever be a free man again, or no? Comment what you think.